你好嘢，好有性格，次手槍落到你手，你一粒子彈都冇晒，粒粒中晒。
我想問你點解要出賣佢？
喺雲海茶樓，你班兄弟懟冧咗我伙計，佢係我好朋友。你班兄弟仲殺咗好多無辜嘅人。
喂，老友，認晒我啊！我諗呢個時候唔適宜搞嘢喎。算啦。
Okay, there are a lot of great action movies out there. There's some great modern-day masterpieces out there, like John Wick. And some older action movies are good too, like Lethal Weapon.
Hey, you want to see crazy? I'll tell you.
It's only some of them.
Yeah, only like the first two. But to me, there is no cooler action movie than a Hong Kong action movie. I'm talking films like Fists of Fury, Police Story, and the Ip Man series. But the uncontested king of Hong Kong action cinema to me is John Woo. And that fact is cemented with his 1992 masterpiece, Hard Boiled. But first, a little history. To understand the scope and importance of Hard Boiled, we have to take a look at John Woo's earlier career. Woo began his early career by making martial arts and comedy films, mainly for Shaw Studios and Golden Harvest Productions, studios known for these genre films. Woo was put to work very early in his career. Starting in 1974, he would pretty much make a new movie every year, all in the same genre of martial arts and comedy. And these movies made him a lot of money, but making the same movie over and over and over again really tired out John Woo. So in the 1980s, Woo went into self-exile and eventually met up with Hong Kong producer and director Tsui Hark. Both Woo and Hark lamented the lack of film genre diversity in Hong Kong, so they teamed up to make a film that would not only change Hong Kong movies, but action films forever. This movie being A Better Tomorrow in 1986. Despite A Better Tomorrow having no advertising, it smashed all sorts of financial records in Hong Kong. Because of this, John Woo would go on to make A Better Tomorrow 2, mostly being pressured by Tsui Hark and other studio executives. And even though I haven't seen much of it, it's very different from the first A Better Tomorrow.
This fucking fried rice stinks!
Holy
okay, what are you doing?
I got a quarter. Take it or leave it.
Asshole!
Open your fucking mouth and eat the rice! Man.
But this film would serve as the boiling point for Tsui Hark's and John Woo's professional relationship. The two butted heads constantly on where the story should go. This would lead Tsui Hark to going his own separate way to make a prequel for A Better Tomorrow, while John Woo would go on to make his next film, 1989's The Killer, with Tsui Hark's minimal involvement. The Killer was a big film for John Woo, mostly because it put him on the map for the big dudes over in Hollywood. But even though The Killer gained massive fame in the West, it failed to deliver financially in its home country, Hong Kong. And this would lead Tsui Hark and John Woo to finally go their separate ways. After the initial failure of The Killer, John Woo would then go on to make his most ambitious and personal film, Bullet in the Head, in 1990. This was unlike all of John Woo's movies before. The film had a deep message and political theme, mainly tying into the 1989 Tiananmen Square incident, an event that deeply affected John Woo, as he felt that the Chinese people should not hide from it and confront it. But sadly, the people of China really didn't want to see a movie that confronted these events only a year later, so the movie failed. So that makes two financial failures from John Woo. So naturally, he wanted to immigrate to the US, but he wanted to make one more film before going over. And that movie was Once a Thief. Hard Boiled. Hard Boiled was the final film John Woo made before he immigrated to the US. I'm not even gonna talk about these. For this movie, Woo wanted to focus his story more on the police rather than gangsters and other criminals like in his earlier films. The original draft for Hard Boiled was gonna be about a psychopath who went around poisoning baby food. But when producers went over to America to help get funding for the film and attention for it, they told Woo it was too disgusting. The US actually had a pretty big role in the production and planning of Hard Boiled. Woo used Hard Boiled as kind of a screen test for Hollywood action films. He wrote his characters like some of the classic Hollywood actors, Clint Eastwood and Steve McQueen to be exact. Okay, now we can actually talk about the movie now. Hard Boiled follows rogue cop Inspector Tequila. His hobbies include arguing with his chief, playing the clarinet at the jazz bar, and watching his partner get murdered at the hands of the triads. After a failed police raid that causes that, Tequila goes all out to bring the triads to justice. The big bad is Johnny Wong, a man with a villainous laugh and wearer of many jackets. Johnny Wong's right-hand man is Alan, a mafia hitman who enjoys a good read, making paper cranes, and crying. But there might be something more to Alan than meets the eye. Is there? I don't know. Watch the movie yourself, you drip. Tequila's quest for justice takes him all over Hong Kong. Like the Tea House, a nice quiet place where you can come to socialize. Okay, maybe not so peaceful. We go to Hong Kong's iconic warehouse. Look at all these people hard at work. Okay, how about the hospital? There are babies here. There's nothing that can go wrong.
Take it.
I guess now's a good time to talk about... What? Did you really think I was going to talk about the action first? It feels a little pointless to go through the hallmarks of a John Woo movie, but I'm gonna pretend you're all doo-doo idiots, so I'm gonna explain them anyway. Probably the most well-known John Woo trademark is his use of slow motion. Woo will use slow motion for many things, but he mostly uses it to make a punch or bullet feel more punchy and a lot more brutal. Dissolves are also used a lot, but Woo doesn't really use them to convey the passage of time. He just likes to use them as nice transitions to different shots in the same scene. Woo likes to have his characters, usually the leads, be mirrors of each other, maybe as a way to help us understand their motives more. In most of his movies, Woo likes to carry over the same big themes. Ideas of friendship and brotherhood play major roles in films like A Better Tomorrow and A Bullet in the Head. It's also worth mentioning that Woo's characters are never just blank emotionless dudes with guns. Woo loves to write characters who are vulnerable to their emotions, even in Hard Boiled, his most macho movie in my opinion. Characters in Woo's movies are often conflicted with the violence that surrounds them, and will lead them to their rightly earned redemption they work for. Woo's films like A Better Tomorrow and The Killer are perfect examples of this. And of course, his trademarks carry over into the action as well. I already talked about the use of slow motion, but one subtle detail I like is how much Woo's characters move in gunfights. Unlike most action films, mainly ones from the West, characters move around a lot instead of just standing still. They also swing their guns around a lot too, almost like they have to throw the bullets out of them. You know, sometimes they gotta do stuff like this. And sometimes they gotta give them one of these. Have you ever given a guy one of these? This makes all the action feel much more lively when compared to action movies from the West. Okay, maybe that's too mean. Charles Bronson was 500 when he made Death Wish 3. We also have to talk about the iconic John Woo reload. Let's see that iconic John Woo reload. Oh yeah, there is none. Probably my favorite stylistic choice from John Woo is that there are usually never any shots of characters reloading their guns. The reason for this is because Woo felt like their reloads would slow down the action. Guns in John Woo movies have endless clips, and the only time a character reloads is to have like a little tension or some coherence to the action. I know this isn't realistic, but if you want to be a square but a dumb action movie, then we have cookie cutter Steven Seagal films right down the street.
What happened? They took her. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Because now, I will snatch every motherfucker birthday.
Okay, I guess we can now finally talk about what this movie does better than any other action movie. The action set pieces in this film pretty much outclass everything I've ever seen in an action movie. And keep in mind, I've only seen like 2 movies. John Woo had the goal of make every action scene bigger and better than the last. So the tea house raid has to set the bar, while the warehouse scene has to top that, and the hospital climax has to outclass every single thing that came before it. Every single bit of action is fun, but the constant escalation makes everything so much more enjoyable. The hospital climax also has a 3-minute unbroken take of action. It is without a doubt the highlight of the entire movie. It does everything that the regular action scenes do, but the fact that it's all in one take is just mind-blowing. But no matter what action scene you watch, there'll be plenty of gunshots, a high body count, and tons of explosions. Also, I want to take this opportunity to mention that Hard Boiled is in the Criterion collection. It really fits in well with the rest of the Criterion crowd, with such films as The Tragedy of Macbeth.
Is this a dagger which I see before me? The handle toward my hand.
Blue Velvet.
What are you looking at? Nothing. Don't you look at me, fuck! I shoot when I see the whites of the eyes.
Yo Jimbo. Hard Boiled. High art if I've ever seen it. There is so much destruction in this action. Entire sets are just decimated and torn to pieces. It really adds to the danger. And it's just fun to watch. Once again, it's a big contrast to other action movies where all the destruction you'll get is like a window shattering, maybe a car blows up once. In Hard Boiled, they level entire buildings. Another thing I really like about the action is that how every little action set piece has its own mini-boss. Whether it be the thug in the tea house raid that does that, or Mad Dog. Mad Dog is kind of the reoccurring mini-boss in this movie. He shows up in the warehouse raid and the hospital climax. Wait a minute, Alan is here too. Is there more of him that meets the eye? I'm still not telling you a dang thing. Hard Boiled, without a doubt in my mind, is the greatest action film of all time. There are probably other action movies with better stories, performances, but this movie has the best action, straight up. This is probably the best example of an action movie with good action and a pretty good story to boot. This isn't your regular 90s action movie where the story just puts you to one action scene to another. The story actually matters. If anything, the drama added onto the movie makes it more satisfying to watch. So with that, on top of the stellar characters, action, and story, I'm giving Hard Boiled an A+. Like I said earlier, this is without a doubt, in my big head, the best action film of all time, and easily one of John Woo's best. Hard Boiled can be pretty much found anywhere on the internet. People have uploaded the movie onto YouTube and subs, but you can also pick up the DVD for $30. I'm also going to take this opportunity to pretty much recommend all of John Woo's Hong Kong filmography. Most of them aren't as action-packed as Hard Boiled, but they are all definitely worth your time. I don't do this much, but I'm also going to recommend a video to go along with this. John Woo, The Four Classics is a video essay by Wildflix. It's only 16 minutes long, but he does a really good job at going in depth and being very informative about John Woo's career. A link to the video will be in the description.
Hey man, great movie recommendation. However, there was one tiny problem.
I don't see the problem, Jimmy.
You recommended me a movie where the guy loses his eye.
I don't see a problem with that.
Jimmy. You stupid man. I'm gonna kick your mother, and then kick your brother, and your father too, and everyone you love, and everything's gonna suck with your life because you're a nobody, because you recommended me a stupid movie where the guy loses his eye. I can't believe you did this. I'm gonna kick your mom.
Man, I wish I had friends like those.
Idiot. Stupid American. Stupid Japanese woman.
So, what kind of pathetic excuse do you have for me this time? I see that you haven't killed that nerd dude.
Hey man, this is not as easy as it sounds. You're asking me to kill one of the only friends that I have.
Well, maybe you should have read over the contract. Because you had to take killing my best friend lessons, and I had to for that.
Well, this is before I had an intervention with him and became his best friend.
You put syphilis in the gag you made him wear.
But I did that to make you happy. Look, give me a break here. I'm a bit conflicted.
I don't pay you to be conflicted. I may pay your taxes. I may pay your insurance, and I sometimes pay for your therapy. But I do not pay for that. I pay you to kill people.
That's all that I'm good at?
Don't make me come down there. I will get your sorry bot, and I will do it myself. I will beat him with a fish if I have to. Do not fail me, or you will regret it.
Is that all I'm really here for? To just murder him? I'm a pharmacist, a gabagoolist, a momsicist, and a sandwichist. I ain't a best friend murdercist. I don't know what to do at this point. I mean, I don't have a way out of this. Looks like I'm gonna have to kill him. Well, unfortunately, my thoughts and opinions on this don't seem to matter. Whether or not I want to kill the nerd, it looks like I have to finish out this job and kill him. Oh shit, they saw him.